The federal opposition says a concrete referendum proposal is needed out of next month's summit with Indigenous leaders. Bill Shorten says every side of politics needs to get on board. But those living in the Aboriginal Tent Embassy are calling for a reset as they push to set up a new representative body. Political reporter Miles Morgan explains.
On the grounds of Old Parliament House in Canberra, Roxley Foley is keeping the fire burning. He's part of the new generation living at the embassy, and on the agenda is something of a rebuild in how Indigenous voices are heard. The embassy says groups like the Prime Minister's Indigenous Advisory Council are failing.
We see a bunch of self-appointed people appointed by the Prime Minister who are giving bad advice whilst our communities are screaming at the top of their lungs and not being heard.
Band-aid solutions, one-off projects. If something is succeeding, they get rid of it. If something is failing, they keep it. And then at the end of the day, they then point the finger, well, you've had an opportunity and you've blew it.
Uncle Pat Locke is a link to the past, specifically ATSIC. It's the spirit of ATSIC that the embassy wants to see in its new Indigenous voices. To do that, it needs more First Nations leaders visiting the embassy.
We're talking about what we did right, what we did wrong. We're trying to learn from our mistakes. We're trying to create something better. And we'll be using that information, having that discussion where we'll make our next steps.
We need to start it here. It's no good of running down to Redfern or running up to the Gold Coast and places. It's here that we need the arguments. We need to take it straight to the front door. We need Abbott to understand that we're no longer going to be pushed around.
The embassy is proudly against the Recognise campaign, the movement to acknowledge First Nations in the Constitution. The federal opposition is moving to crystallise the referendum proposal to make that change.
For all the good work, all the goodwill, all the cooperation and all the discussion, we still lack a concrete proposal to get behind. We're still operating in a vacuum, filled every now and again with conflicting views about the best way forward.
Roxley Foley is worried the Recognise movement is already too convincing.
We haven't even seen the wording of the referendum. They're asking people to vote blind. And that in itself is very worrying because, as we know, the devil's in the detail, and it's that detail that's been used to screw us over time and time and again.
Miles Morgan, NITV News.